Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the relatively uncommon electric-type Pokémon Blitzle, the Electrified Pokémon, and its uncommon evolution Zebstrika, the Thunderbolt Pokémon. The members of the Blitzle family are closely related to zebras, but have been imported to other regions far from the native lands, forming stable populations in temperate climates, such as that present in the Unova region. Both Blitzle and Zebstrika possess black-haired bodies with white zigzagging stripes covering their bodies, being larger in number in the case of Zebstrika, as well as dark black noses, blue fur on the inside of their ears, and blue and yellow eyes that shine brightly even in the darkness. They also possess a large mane of white fur that stands on end, looking very much like a lightning bolt. Blitzle only have one of these manes, but their evolved form Zebstrika are adorned with one that splits into two on their head and runs down their necks and along the entire length of their body. Both of these creatures do also have tails, but in the case of Blitzle, this tail is very short and only appears to be a small tuft of hair. With Zebstrika, on the other hand, their tail is quite visible and ends with a large tuft of hair, with the form of the tail blending in with the back end of their double-pointed mane. Both Blitzle and Zebstrika are noted for their considerable electrical powers, but unlike most electric types, these creatures are fairly limited in terms of what they can actually do for offense with their power. This is because, while their hairs are capable of acting as tiny lightning rods that can conduct electricity, their hairs are only actually moderately decent at conducting charges. As such, while they can get access to attacks like Shockwave and Discharge late in life, they are unable to learn much else in the way of electric-type special attacks on their own. To make up for this, these beasts have adapted to electrifying their entire bodies before tackling targets at full force, allowing them to use attacks like Spark and especially Wild Charge to deal significant damage to their opposition, even if they do so at the risk of their own personal safety. This equally plays into their ability to use moves like Thrash to deal damage in close quarters as well, and they even have the power to discharge bursts of electricity from their hairs to short them out and cause them to ignite, allowing them to strike with a unique variation of the flame charge attack early in life, though the fire hazard that this presents means that they will generally keep to the edges of forests and away from open fields when grazing. Their deceptive skill with physical attacks helps them to stand out from other electric-type Pokémon and can definitely make them a force to be reckoned with. This is only made more so by the fact that they can easily use their lightning rod-like hairs to readily absorb any electricity that gets near them, granting them access to the lightning rod and motor drive abilities as base abilities, while their herbivorous nature can help them readily absorb grass-type elemental energy in rare cases, and subsequently grant them access to Sap Sipper as a hidden ability. As far as their stats are concerned, in the case of Zebstrika, their sturdy frames and agile legs show prominently, as their base HP, attack, and speed stats are all above average for an electric-type Pokémon. While the rest of their stats may be subpar for the type, they can still hit hard with physical strikes and definitely fill a position on a team that few other electric types can fill efficiently. While they might be able to conduct electricity through the hairs on their body effectively enough to utilize moves like Shockwave early in life, Blitzle hair is not the best when it comes to pulling free electrons from the air to create an electric current, so charging their bodies on a frequent basis is not an easy task for them. In fact, they don't gain access to their first useful physical electric type attack, Spark, until they are very close to the point of evolution. As such, the only way these creatures can really charge themselves up is from a more direct source of power, and for them, the best source of direct power is lightning. When lightning storms start to approach their territory, these beasts will run out in droves to stand before the storm, utilizing the hair on their manes to create an attractive zone of positive charge that makes them more likely to get struck by lightning, which they can then absorb to replenish their supply fully. Aside from using their electricity to attack, Blitzle have also been observed using their bodies to send signals to distant members of their herds, as their manes shine a bright white when they discharge electricity. It has been observed these creatures will use this flash to communicate with each other over long distances in a primitive form of code, allowing them to share information about present weather conditions, warn others of approaching predators, and so forth, without having to even be near them. The light is bright enough that it can effectively be seen from well over 100 meters away, and can help make the dark a little less frightening to these sometimes skittish beasts. Thankfully, Blitzle are fairly tame creatures and don't mind interacting with other life forms and humans freely. Though this does not mean that one is necessarily safe around them if their parent Zebstrika are around. Compared to their mild-mannered pre-evolution, Zebstrika are ill-tempered beasts that can prove to be a handful if one is not wise to stay far away from them in the wild without serious backup. Unlike Blitzle, the hairs on the bodies of Zebstrika are surprisingly efficient at drawing electricity from the air, and while it's still not enough to give them access to decent electric-type special attacks outside of shockwave and discharge, it does mean that they do not have to rely on lightning in order to replenish their power. Plus, it grants them the ability to learn the Iron Deluge technique later in life, or with a bit of artificial help. These animals can be a pain to fight in battle, even if there is a lot of distance between you and them, as their incredible reflexes allow them to gallop at incredible speeds in order to deliver powerful physical attacks, and tracking or otherwise striking them to interrupt their charge is difficult, as they tend to run in a zigzagging fashion, just like a lightning bolt. This normally wouldn't be a problem if it were not for the fact that they are also highly aggressive, being readily angered by anything that dares to trespass into their territory and viciously charging at said intruders in order to get them out as quickly as possible, for the sake of their safety and that of their herd. This is made even worse by the fact that Zebstrika constantly discharge electricity from their manes in all directions when they are angry, and combined with the thunder-like reverberating sounds their hooves make when they gallop at full speed, it can make them a terrifying sight to behold. Thankfully, Zebstrika can be trained fairly easily and can thus be controlled with a bit of effort, but wild specimens are still a severe threat, and definitely not something that a trainer should try to face without some powerful ground-type Pokemon at their disposal to protect themselves with. While they might not have access to all of the major tricks and special powers that other electric-type Pokemon have, Blitzle and Zebstrika are fierce creatures that can definitely make themselves a threat against physically weak opponents. It might take a while before they can get access to the best and most useful attacks, but the wait can definitely pay off if you can learn how to best take advantage of their deceptive agility. Just do yourself a favor though, and try not to think about taking a ride on them if you haven't had the time to properly train them. They might look like impressive steeds to ride when fully grown, but you'll be in for a shocking surprise if you don't train them to keep their electricity under control if something suddenly spooks or angers them. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description. With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.